Viewer discretion is advised. The following story contains discussions of child abuse, violence, and other sensitive topics that may be disturbing to some viewers. If you are sensitive to such content, please proceed with caution. Imagine a small, innocent child, a bright-eyed little girl who should have been playing with dolls, laughing with friends, and enjoying the warmth of a loving home. Instead, she endured the unimaginable. A mystery that began with a heartbreaking discovery along the shores of Texas. A little girl, unknown, unwanted, cast away. This is the story of Riley Ann Sawyers, a case that shocked the nation, broke hearts, and left many asking, how could this happen? Welcome to Secrets in the Shadows, where we uncover the dark, untold truths behind some of the most haunting crime stories. If you appreciate in-depth, detailed storytelling, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our latest cases. Now let's step into the shadows of this harrowing case. Riley Ann Sawyers was born on March 11th, 2005, at the Geauga Regional Hospital in Mentor, Ohio, a town located along the shores of Lake Erie. She was born to Robert Thomas Sawyers and Kimberly Dawn Trenner. Described as a beautiful little girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, and an infectious smile, Riley had an adventurous and playful spirit. She loved Elmo, the color pink, sledding in the Ohio winters, and playing in the garden with the hose. She enjoyed dressing up in tiaras, fairy wings, and fancy hats, always radiating joy. Her mother, Kimberly, was born on August 9th, 1988, in Mentor, Ohio. She was a bright student and had the potential to graduate early. In high school, she met Robert while walking laps in gym class, and their young romance soon led to an unexpected pregnancy. At just 15 years old, Kimberly and Robert found themselves enrolled in the GRADS program, a support initiative for teen parents. Despite their efforts to manage school and parenting, their relationship eventually fell apart. After the breakup, Kimberly continued to live in Robert's family home, where his mother, Cheryl Sawyers, took an active role in caring for Riley. Robert, meanwhile, moved on and started a new relationship, eventually having another child. Despite the complicated dynamics, everyone in the household seemed to get along. Riley thrived in the care of her grandmother, but Kimberly soon became more absorbed in an online fantasy world that would lead her down a dark path. Kimberly discovered the game World of Warcraft and became deeply involved, often playing late into the night. Through the game, she met a man named Royce Clyde Ziegler II, an older player from Houston, Texas. Royce, who worked for a Shell oil contractor, painted a grand picture of life in Texas, and Kimberly, eager for change, was captivated. Despite concerns from Riley's Ohio family, Kimberly uprooted her life and moved to Texas with Riley, marrying Royce just days after arriving. Riley's grandmother, Cheryl, was devastated, especially when Kimberly cut off contact and refused to share Riley's whereabouts. Meanwhile, in Texas, Royce revealed his disturbing parenting beliefs. He insisted on strict obedience, forced Riley to use sir and ma'am, and encouraged severe corporal punishment. As Cheryl and Robert fought for Riley in Ohio courts, Kimberly fabricated stories to keep them at bay, claiming Riley was staying with relatives. In truth, Riley was enduring horrific abuse at the hands of Royce and Kimberly. To understand how Kimberly went from a seemingly caring mother to a participant in her daughter's suffering, we must examine her past. Kimberly's childhood does not indicate a history of abuse or neglect, but she grew up under strict expectations. Some who knew her described her as intelligent and responsible, yet insecure and impressionable. Her need for validation may have made her vulnerable to Royce's influence. Once in Texas, she became increasingly submissive, prioritizing his approval over her own child's well-being. Psychologists speculate that Kimberly exhibited traits of dependency disorder, allowing Royce to dictate her behavior even when it went against her maternal instincts. Royce's background paints the picture of a deeply troubled man, raised in a strict household with a father who believed in harsh corporal punishment. Royce seemed to replicate the same cycle of control and abuse. Former co-workers described him as cold, awkward, and prone to bursts of anger. His relationship history showed signs of dominance over past partners. While there is no official psychological diagnosis, experts believe he may have exhibited narcissistic or sociopathic tendencies as he lacked empathy and derived satisfaction from controlling others. On July 24, 2007, Royce's disciplinary methods escalated into an unspeakable tragedy. That day, Riley was subjected to hours of beatings. Royce instructed Kimberly to use a belt, and together they inflicted unimaginable pain. They held her underwater in a bathtub filled with cold water, threw her against the walls, and strangled her with a belt. Riley, battered and bruised, tried to reach out to her mother, whispering, "I love you." But Royce convinced Kimberly that Riley was manipulating her, and the torture continued. Eventually, Riley's small body could endure no more. She collapsed, her heartbeat fading. Kimberly wanted to call for help, but Royce refused. Instead, they placed Riley's lifeless body in the bathtub, later wrapping her in plastic bags and stuffing her into a plastic storage container. On October 29, 2007, a fisherman in Galveston Bay made a grim discovery. He found the blue Sterilite container washed ashore. The fisherman called the authorities, and inside they discovered Riley's remains wrapped in plastic bags and surrounded by cement. This discovery set off a nationwide effort to identify the young girl. Another fisherman described a similar scene: a man and a woman with a plastic container near the water, the woman appearing visibly upset. However, it remains unclear whether the fisherman who had initially witnessed the suspicious behavior was the same one who ultimately found Riley's body. Authorities, unable to match her remains to any missing child reports, named her Baby Grace. Investigators released a forensic sketch urging the public to come forward with any information. Eventually, Riley's grandmother, Cheryl Sawyers, recognized the sketch and contacted authorities, leading them to Kimberly. When confronted by police, Kimberly arrived at the station with her attorney and eventually confessed to her involvement in Riley's death. Before her confession, she also provided a DNA sample to confirm her identity. Despite her claims of uncertainty, she admitted, "I'm sure that's my daughter." Following Kimberly's admission, DNA testing confirmed that the remains were indeed those of Riley Ann Sawyers. Authorities immediately arrested both Kimberly Trenner and Royce Ziegler, charging them with injury to a child and tampering with evidence. These charges were later elevated to capital murder. In February 2009, Kimberly was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Later that year, in November 2009, Royce Ziegler was also convicted of capital murder and received the same sentence, life in prison without parole. The case sparked national outrage, with many calling for stricter child protection laws. Riley's paternal grandmother, Cheryl Sawyers, played a crucial role in identifying her granddaughter. She saw the forensic sketch of baby Grace and immediately contacted authorities, leading to the investigation that uncovered the truth. She expressed deep grief and heartbreak over Riley's tragic fate. The community mourned Riley's death, and her story underscored the importance of child protection awareness. Riley Ann Sawyers' tragic case shocked the nation and highlighted the dark reality of child abuse. Her story remains a painful reminder of how important it is to speak out when something seems wrong. Riley was a beautiful angel, full of life, love, and innocence. She should have grown up surrounded by warmth, care, and happiness. Instead, she endured unimaginable suffering. But now, she is finally at peace, no longer in pain, no longer afraid. Rest in peace, sweet Riley. You are in a better place, far beyond the cruelty of this world. If you found this case compelling, please support Secrets in the Shadows by subscribing, liking this video, and turning on notifications. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the darkest secrets hide in the shadows.